Yo, what's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 levers that you need to pull in order to grow your cash practice to be able to hit consistent 200K per month. I'm super excited about this because I feel like we've been working months on end in my own cash practice to be able to actually smooth out some of these systems to be able to hit consistent 200K per month. So let's go ahead, let's dive into the computer, and I'll walk you through the exact levers that we utilize to pull to be able to make this happen. Yo, what's up, guys? All right, so in this video, I'm going to walk you through how we were able to hit consistent 200K per month for our cash practices. I'll walk you through the 5 levers needed. I'll walk you through how I actually used it in my own cash practice to be able to do this in 2026 so far. And then obviously kind of help answer your question that everyone's wondering, like, hey, is this going to work for me? So let's go ahead, let's go in the reverse of that. So will this work for you? By any no means, right? With you watching this YouTube video, can you go out there and hit 200K per month? I would say less than 1% of cash practices get out there and actually hit 100K per month, let alone 200K per month. And so, again, I'm just kind of walking you guys through, hey, what we were able to do in my cash practice, as well as what we were able to help some of the other cash practices around the country implement and do as well. So, for those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Peter. I own a cash practice called Motion RX. So, we've got 2 locations, one in Jacksonville, one in St. Pete. We're brick and mortar, 100% all cash practice. And over the last few years, we've been consistently growing, not only my cash practice, but also a couple other cash practices around the country. So I'm going to walk you guys through some of the people that we've been able to help. So we have Angela. She's out over in California. We helped her hit 90K per month from 17K per month in 13 months. Mahib, he's out in Chicago, cash practice owner, 15K to 50K in 6 months. Aaron, 25 to 50K in 2 months, so 60 days. Dylan, 2K to 520K as a solar provider in 1 year. So that's 520K cash collected in 1 year. Vince, 12K to 58K in 10 months. Tony, 16K to 42K in 30 days. And then Ian, 23K to 51K in 90 days. Now, these are all massive jumps. Yes, I get it. But the only reason why they were able to make these massive jumps is primarily because of a lot of these levers that we're going to help walk you guys through in terms of like what we helped them pull when we first started working with them. All right, so let's go ahead, let's dive into it. So one of the first levers that we need to pull in order to actually be able to hit 200K per month is having some sort of premium offer. Okay, so really over the last few years, we'd be able to kind of figure out our like, if we can set our offer up at least around 3.5 to 5K offer, this allows you to kind of scale tremendously. A lot of times when I first started in my cash practice, we were basically doing kind of like this old school way of doing it, which was basically taught to me from my previous mentors, which is, I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably doing this as well too, but you're basically going off of session by session, or maybe you're selling like discounted packages where it's like, hey, if you do 6 sessions, they'll discount it from like $200 down to like 185. But if you buy 12, we'll discount it even more down to like 150 or something like that, right? So the problem with that is it becomes very outdated and you become commoditized. So what we've done is over the last few years, we've switched our offer to more of a premium offer that's not only time-based, but outcome-driven as well too. So when we leverage an outcome, now people start thinking about, all right, cool, like what am I going to get in return for this 3.5K or 5K offer? And not just like, hey, I'm paying $60 for a price per session for like a copay at insurance physical therapy, or maybe there's another cash pay PT down the street and he's only charging $100 for a session, right? So it gets them away from thinking of like time for a visit and more focused on the outcome, which is what we are getting them. Another thing too is like it's got to be time based, right? So meaning like if we know we can get them better in 8 weeks, or 10 weeks, or 12 weeks, then we should be setting that outcome. What we used to do is like, hey, we used to have them sell like a six pack, right? And maybe they go through like 3 visits, and then from there they would spread out and save their last 3 visits and drag it out for a whole fucking year because they wanted to hang on to those visits, right? And so from a cash flow standpoint, from a business standpoint, it becomes very, very hard to actually like have a sustaining business when people are just saving visits, not actually fulfilling on it and going through what you actually originally recommended. And so really with this offer, you're gonna have it be overall framed as a program that's going to include not only in-person visits, but also customized remote programming that can be delivered on an app, basically aka like an HEP. And you all can also like understand how to sell the value of accountability and communication. Now, the crazy thing is like you guys probably are already doing all these things, right? You guys are probably already selling or basically providing them with some sort of HEP as well as communication access. But the problem is you're not able to portray the value of it when you actually sell them like your program or your package, because you don't necessarily know how to actually communicate the value of that to them. All right, so that's going to be really the first thing that we need to restructure. If you guys aren't at this 3.5 to 5K offer yet, is really kind of increasing your overall pricing for this. I would say this is actually a very, very sweet spot for people to be able to kind of close onto without too much friction. So anytime you're like under like 2K or really under 3K, you're definitely underpriced, and you gotta increase your pricing. So I would say like a lot of these massive jumps that you guys are seeing in a lot of these like clinics that we've been able to work with, right? One of the first things we pull is just help them restructure their offer, help them increase in price so that they understand how to sell this higher ticket plan of care that they can get from an outcome standpoint for a lot of their clients. So gotta have a premium offer that's kind of closer structured to that 3.5 to 5K offer. From there, the next thing we got to pile on is you got to have 24/7 predictable lead gen, right? And so with this was kind of like the old school way of what I was doing before for my first 3 years in business. So it was just a lot of organic social media, word of mouth referrals, injury screens, meet the docs, all these like community workshops and shit that I would be fucking doing like every single day on the weekend, local networking. And so problem with this, again, there's nothing wrong with them, but I was just like, hey, I don't really want to spend the rest of my like Saturdays, the rest of my life going to these gyms and doing workshops and networking and all that in order to actually know that I'm going to get evals in for the next week, right? And so problem with this is that it basically makes you time poor, right? It's a time suck, and oftentimes it's unpredictable, meaning like, hey, if you don't do these things, who knows like if you're gonna get in evals the next week or not. Like word of mouth, it's like, hey, 1 month it'll be really good, you have a ton of word of mouth referrals. Next month you're not gonna have any kind of referrals at all. So it's unpredictable. You can't really scale it up consistently month over month. Right. And so that's really where we kind of discovered paid ads and what we refer to as like the local authority funnel. So this is awesome because it's basically what we refer to as like the local authority funnel. It's basically Meta on Facebook, Instagram ads. And the cool thing about this is it capitalizes on a huge trend, aka short form video. Requires very little tech. All these videos are just basically formed on an iPhone, right? So selfie style. You can set it up in 7 days. You can iterate and make fast changes within 3 to 4 days based on the data that you collect. It positions you as the expert. All this stuff is fully automated if you have the right CRM set up in place. And most importantly, it's a predictable patient acquisition where I know, hey, if I put $1 in and I have the right sales system back, I can get $3 to $4 back on the back end. So before kind of figuring this out, we used to go through a ton of different like Facebook ad agencies, whether it's like, hey, one's for like physical therapy or, even just like regular marketing agencies. But the problem was they would give us all these like traditional outdated, like cookie cutter anatomy picture ads, and they would bring us like very low quality leads in. Not exactly the right type of like cash pay clients that we wanted. And so when we basically brought our marketing in-house, you as the owner, right, because you understand your patient the best, it positions you as like the marketing expert because you know your ideal ICP, you know the exact pain points that they're dealing with. So it allows you to really position the right ads in front of the right people because you know exactly what the pain points are. And so we have, these are just kind of like a sample of like, hey, us in front of like a popular beach over here in Jacksonville, one in the clinic. We have one of my PTs doing it, like making a funny face, holding the shoulder and stuff. And so all three of these ads are a lot of our winners that we've been running for a couple months now. And it's just been really, really great because all we need to do is really just, hey, like if we spend more money and we're priced appropriately, right? We can basically get 3x dollars back, and basically allows us to consistently get evals in. And so last month alone, we were able to do, last month we did around 150 evals just off of this like local authority funnel. So another cool thing too is like if you guys already are doing a lot of these like local things, which like for my clinic we already were, so a lot of people in the local community already knew who we were. But the awesome thing is like a lot of times they just forget about like what we do, right? If we're not there, we're not top of mind. But once we started running paid ads and we like started positioning ourselves as the expert, and we constantly showed up on their phones day in, day out, they see our shit every single day. And so they constantly are reminded like, hey, like, oh yeah, I have this like friend, or I have this gym member that's dealing with an issue. I should refer them over to Motion RX. So just always keep you top of mind, and it basically allows you to keep like an omnipresent authority like everywhere. So they see you not only in the gym, They hear about you from your friends of their friends and family, and they also can't escape you every single time you open up their phone. Right, so there's another really cool like retargeting sequence from an ad standpoint where you can put on just like constantly put your stuff in front of them. From there, yeah, they see the ad, they're like, "Oh, this sounds really interesting. I want to know more." They basically fill out a super quick form, and then from there, obviously, we need to qualify these people to make sure, hey, they're the right type of people that we want to work with, right? So it's like could be simple qualifying questions, for if it's like a running one, it's like, hey, where are you experiencing pain when you run? Obviously, hey, like we want to make sure these people live in Jacksonville or live in the local area. So you kind of add in some additional filters like that. So again, it doesn't have to be anything crazy of like, hey, we need to set up a pixel for a landing page. It's super simple, just an instant form. From there, they can watch a quick VSL, basically me addressing a lot of like questions on insurance, like think about it, like why we're different, why they need to take action now. So a lot of our like pre-objection handling stuff is done in this video there, and then they can go ahead and apply to work with us, and they'll do a discovery call with our team. They submit their information to the CRM, and then once they are in the CRM, this is really cool. This is where the second thing comes in place, which is like building out an SDR team. One thing I do want to talk about is like, for those of you guys who have done ads before, maybe you're like, hey, like ads just don't work for me, and I used to be that exact person. I used to like, because of all the like bad experience that I had with all these different other agencies, I was like, hey, like ads work everywhere else, but not in Jacksonville. It's my demographic, it's my area. For whatever reason, ads just don't work. But I honestly just wasn't taking enough ownership and responsibility. Ads do work. The only reason why ads don't work is either A, like your creative sucks and it isn't unique, which when we were working with a different marketing agency, it was the case, right? Because it was pretty much just like an anatomy picture of a of a shoulder, versus kind of those like creatives that we were showing you guys a little bit earlier. It's like either your creative sucks or your offer positioning isn't good enough, meaning, hey, people don't feel like it's appealing enough for them to want to click on it and submit their information. So that comes down to an offer positioning standpoint. Or B, it's like, hey, or C, right? Like, hey, we don't have enough friction to filter out tire kickers and shitty leads. So same thing when we were working with the marketing agency, we were getting all these leads that were funneling in, but a lot of them were all shitty leads. Like they weren't our ideal ICP. And so that's the third reasoning why. And then finally, the last reasoning is like, hey, your lead to eval booking process isn't efficient. Meaning we have all these leads that pile into our CRM, but then from there, they're just sitting in the fucking CRM waiting to be dialed. They're not patients yet. They're not clients yet, which really brings us to the next lever that we worked really, really hard over this last year or so to really dial in. That's really like building out a full SDR team. So what the hell is an SDR? SDR basically stands for sales development rep or an appointment setter in the sales industry. And so their main role is to call all of these leads that funnel into your CRM to get them set for an actual initial evaluation with you guys on the clinic. And so really with this, like, hey, they're calling these leads, they book them for a 15-minute discovery call, and then they book them for the initial evaluation with the deposit. So we're very big on this. If you guys aren't taking deposits, that is something that you guys 100% should be doing. Otherwise, yeah, you guys are just pretty much like leaving it up to chance whether or not they're going to show up or not. So you got to make sure you guys take deposits. So anyways, with our SDRs, it's like, hey, their main goal is to book these leads into initial evaluations so that actually show up. And so really with this, it's like, hey, how do we actually ramp them up to KPI? So over the last like year or so, we've been able to figure out like one good SDR should be able to set 15 evals per week. Or AKA, like if you 4 weeks out of the year, they should be able to set 60 evals per month. And so right now we currently have around 3 SDRs. We're about to hire our 4th, but yeah, you can kind of see like, hey, 2 SDRs at this KPI. If they're meeting minimum KPIs around 120 evals per month, 3 SDRs is going to be around 180, and then 4 should be crank us up to around 240 evals per month. And really with this, like you guys have to do a ton of training with these people, primarily because a lot of times people think like, hey, PT should be the one doing the discovery call. They know the most. Well, yeah, no shit, you know the most, but this can easily be a task that you outsource to somebody else for like $10, $15, $20 an hour if you have the right sales process. And so really with this, building out a whole SDR team is like, how do we, actually get data pushed to us? So this is really where we have an end of day report. So they submit all their data to us, like, hey, how many dials did they make every single day? How many of those dials did they actually connect with on a call with a potential prospect? And then on that discovery call, what was the percent close onto initial evaluation? how many evals showed up on the calendar that day, and then out of those evals that showed up, how many closed. Right. So you get all this data pushed out to you in a Slack report. And then in there, you also want to do like a daily huddle. So every single day, we do a daily huddle with our team, 30 minutes long, where we're basically just doing quality control on the calls they had the day before. So reviewing any kind of objections. If they had a call that went great, awesome, let's review that. Let's tell them what they did good on. And then another thing too, you really want to audit is like what their speed to lead is. Are they calling under 5 minutes of opt-in? So there's just a lot of really good data that basically shows like, hey, the moment a lead opts into something, if you call them outside of like 10 minutes, the percentage of them like becoming a client drops tremendously. And then even when it drops down to like 30 minutes, right? So a lot of you guys are all treating patients throughout the day. So you got to have somebody who's available to actually call these people, So that's basically where SDR comes in. And then from there, training them on like, hey, what we refer to as our 7-figure script, to really actually be able to get them the follow-up process, right? Because you have different people coming in from different personalities, but how can we create some sort of standardized system that I can basically pull somebody off the street, plug them into our system, and then ramp them up to KPI with the right sales and marketing training. Okay, so this has been massive for us in terms of just like, yes, we're getting all these leads coming in, but like, hey, how do we actually set these leads into actual booked initial appointments on the schedule? All right, and so from there, they get them booked, and then there's even more like nurture sequencing and set up in place, really to get these leads that are a little bit colder from Meta or from Google, pre-educated, pre-framed, and pre-sold. That way, it makes it much easier for our PT team when they do come in to actually sell them on the higher ticket plan of care. All right, and then from there, they do the eval. On the eval, we have a whole process set up in place, basically to prevent objections. Let me think about it. Let me talk to my spouse, finances, budget, check my insurance, all these things. And then from there, we sell them a 3.5 to 5K offer. So really with this, closing wise, should be anywhere from like 40% to 50% if you're priced high enough. If you're closing at like 80% or 90%, it means either you're only advertising into word of mouth, or B, you're charging way too little. Okay. So 40 to 50% seems to be kind of that sweet spot for kind of this offer price. If you have all your sales process dialed in place, and then as well as too, if you have like your entire team closing. So what I mean by that is like, if I were the only one to go out there and do evals, I could probably close around 60 to 70%, probably because I have the most amount of sales experience. However, that means you are the bottleneck if you are the only person doing evals. So the whole point is to train your team up to be able to do evals. So with that, understanding, hey, if your sales training goes up, you have more people doing evals, right? For us, we have like 7 to 8 PTs doing evals. Like your overall process conversion is going to drop a little bit, but it's okay, right? As long as you kind of have some sort of standardization in place and your pricing is set up high enough, it will all be solid. From there, we have our fourth lever that we pull, which is golden fulfillment. So once you sell these people, you got to have a really good product. Like, I know you guys probably hear a lot of what I say is like, all about sales, marketing, advertisement, all that. But at the end of the day, like, dude, I'm a physical therapist. I went to school to be a physical therapist. And so for us, we are so big on client success. Like we have probably around like a 99% client success rate. And so really this is what we refer to as like the 3 R's. How do we get every single client to review, leave us a 5-star Google review, refer somebody, and retain? And we've been able to kind of track a lot of really cool data over these last few years of being in business. And what we found is like over 80% of people will usually leave us a 5-star Google review. We just have to have a predictable review request system set up in place. And then usually within 12 months, 30% of our clients will refer somebody else to come in. That person usually pays in full. And then 40% of people who go onto this plan of care should retain on the back end into a recurring membership model that's more focused based off of performance, not pain. Okay, so we want to keep the people that we work so hard to get. Right? Usually after that, you want to think their initial offer solves their main pain point, which is usually pain related with some sort of activity. And then from there on the back end, we help them solve some sort of performance issue. So a good example for this might be like, hey, you're working with a runner, and right now they can't like run without knee pain. So you help them. Their goal is to be able to run a 5K. Cool. So this offer is going to help them run a 5K again without knee pain. From there, once they're able to run a 5K, it's like, cool. Well, maybe I want to qualify for Boston. Or maybe I want to hit a 5K PR. Cool. So now our membership model is basically what's going to allow them to get to that end goal. And so with this, like the only reason why we're able to have like such consistent percentages is because we have an actual system set up in place. where, hey, every person that comes through, they get asked multiple times for a review until they leave us a review. We have an internal referral system set up in place where they get sent out a black, like heavy Amex membership card. It's not really Amex, but it feels heavy, and that's like kind of the referral card that they'll pass along to their family members. And then from there, like obviously having a sales process dialed in to close them onto back end membership. So that's a fourth lever, and then from there, the last one is really like, hey, autopilot system. So aka like, how do we get shit to run smoothly without you being the bottleneck and you doing everything? And so like you as a business owner, like you're gonna know how to do everything the best. However, the business cannot grow if you're constantly in it. So how do we actually create systems and A players in place to run without you? That way you have other people doing the marketing. That's predictable. You have other people doing front end sales, aka your SDR team, your eval conversions onto plan and care, aka your PT team, and then the fulfillment as well too with the PT team. And then how do you get A players to basically help you maintain team culture, right? So basically your like clinic directors, your staff leadership team culture is really going to be big. Usually kind of what we realize is like, hey, once we're kind of around like this 200, 150, 200K per month mark, clinics bottlenecks are not sales and marketing. It's all team. So how do we kind of maintain team and culture to be able to allow us to continue to grow from 200K to 300K, 300K to 500K per month? So how do we build systems set up in place so that every day, like shit just runs smoothly? You're not waking up like terrified, like, hey, like, are we gonna have patients to see? We're putting out fires left and right. Because I've been there and it sucks, and you definitely do not want to be in that position. So yeah, main thing is just like, hey, how do we actually work on the business, not in it? All right. So otherwise, if you're constantly treating patients, if you're constantly doing the marketing, if you're constantly doing all the sales, like if it's all you, like, dude, like who's going to build out the shit? Who's going to build out the systems? Who's going to build out the back end in order for this stuff to actually run in the future without you? So you got to work on the business, not in it. And so let me walk you guys through the 200K per month formula. So at the end of the day, it's just math. That's what I realized, guys. It's like business is just math. It's just unit economics if we want to be able to consistently grow to a certain point. So whatever your goal is, right, you can kind of just work backwards. Let me see. This keeps zooming in. All right, I think this will be good. All right, so I'm gonna walk you guys through. So 200K per month formula. So two setters, right? If they're each meeting projections at 15 sets per week, it's 120 evals per month. From there, we have a little bit of a lower close rate, 40% close rate on a 3.5K offer. Typically with this, we definitely push paid in fulls, but there will be some people that do payment plans. So on average, what we've seen over the last 3 years is we usually have around a 70% front end cash collected. So 70% of people will usually kind of like pay in full, 30% will end up doing some sort of installment. So with this, right, 40% close rate on a 3.5K offer, 70% front end cash collected, basically leaves you to 117K cash collected, or 178 contracted off of net new, right? Just off of net new, which is your evals. And then from there on the back end, you also have your residual monthly payment plans from the month before, as well as your recurring membership set up in place, right? So all the people coming in for training and everything. Now, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at three setters. So 180 evals per month at a 40% close rate, 3.5K offer, 70% front end cash collected. That brings us to 176K cash collected, 252 contracted, and then residual monthly payment plans and recurring membership. So that's pretty much like kind of where we ended up over these last 2 months. We ended up around, like around 150 evals that arrived on the month. Right around this KPI right here, I think we ended up around 45% close rate, 3.5K offers, 100%. We ended up with around just over like 200K cash collected, and then around 250, 240 contracted. And then, along with all of our kind of residual payment plans and everything like that. So, it's very, very doable, guys. And then from there, 4 setters. So this is where I'm hoping to get to. So we just hired on our 4th setter. So she will be coming on starting in about 2 weeks from now. But hopefully, that lands us to around 240 evals per month at a 40% close rate. There you can kind of see, hey, there's your 235K cash collected, 336 contracted, plus any kind of residual payment plans and recurring membership. So all to say is like, hey, it's definitely very doable. I think the biggest thing is like, you got to have all of these systems out in place, right? You got to have your offer set up in place appropriately. Otherwise, like if you have a really low offer, like shit, you can get all the leads in the world, but you ain't gonna scale anything. All right. And then from there, all right, cool. We have our offer set up. Now we got to pile on predictable lead gen. And it's like, it's got to be good quality leads that come in. But just because they're leads doesn't mean they're actual paying customers yet. And so that's where you have your SDR team. And then from there, you have your PT team to actually sell them onto the offer, mitigating all kind of objections and anything like that. Have a stellar client success program, do really, really good fulfillment. And then from there, systems on the back end. Oops, did not mean to move that. But anyways, guys, like hopefully that gives you an insight as to like, hey, how were we able to do this over these last couple months in 2026? But yeah, if you guys want help with this, like go ahead, you can book a call with my team. We work with cash practices all across the country to help them grow their clinics and everything like that. By implementing these exact levers. I know a lot of you guys are probably stuck doing around like 20 to 50K per month, just doing everything. Again, that used to be me, but there is a way, I promise you. Not saying that you're going to be able to do it, right? Like this shit is hard. That's one of the things that I realized is like, hey, the higher you go, the harder it is. And the reason why the harder it is, not many people will follow. So you just kind of want to be ready, you know? But you know, everybody in our group, they're all fucking go-getters. We get after it, you know? So if you guys are interested and want some help implementing all of this stuff, book a link in the video below. Or if you like this stuff, you want to kind of just continue to implement on your own, that's awesome. And I think, yeah, you guys are gonna crush. Anyways, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. We're gonna be pumping out more other tactical videos like this, showing you guys like underneath the hood of what it actually looks like to go crash practice in 2026. Peace.